Hello students, today's topic is subgroups. So as we define groups, now we are going to define subgroups. So subgroup is what? Any non-empty subset of a given group which itself forms a group with respect to the same operation is called a subgroup. If we take any subset of a group, then that subset, whether it is a subgroup or not, is called complex. But if that subset, non-empty subset, forms group with respect to the same operation as the operation of G group, then that algebraic structure is said to be a subgroup. So let G be a group, and then a non-empty subset H of group G is said to be a subgroup of G if H itself forms a group under the same operation as that of G. So if G of O is a group, then any non-empty subset H of G is said to be a subgroup if H forms a group with respect to the same operation O. So since every set has two types of subsets, one is called proper and improper, so similarly every subgroup of a group has two types of subgroups, proper and improper. And I told you that any subset of a group, whether it forms a complex or not, whether it forms a group or not, it is called a complex. So that means what? Every subgroup is a complex, but every complex need not to be a subgroup. The subgroups are of two types, that is improper and proper. Since every set has two subsets, one the set itself G and the second is singleton identity E. These subsets are called improper subsets and these subgroups are called improper subgroups, and all the other subgroups of G are called proper subgroups. Now we are going to see some examples. As we already discussed that the set of integers with respect to addition forms a group. Also set of rational numbers, set of real numbers and set of complex number also forms additive groups. So set of integers with respect to addition is a subgroup of Q plus, R plus and C plus. Similarly, the set of rational number is a subgroup of real numbers and group of complex number, additive group of complex numbers and real numbers. Real numbers, additive group of real number is a subgroup of additive group of complex number. Similarly, we have seen that Q0, that is the set of all rational numbers other than 0, forms a multiplicative group and it will be a subgroup of set of all non-zero rational numbers multiplicative under multiplicative group. Similarly, we have a finite subset 1 and minus 1, which is a multiplicative group as we have seen earlier, and it will be a subgroup of 1 minus 1 I minus I multiplicative group. So now we are going to prove some of the theorems for subgroups. The very first theorem is this, that since we have proved in group that the identity element is unique, so that means what? The identity element of subgroup and group must be same. So the first theorem is this, the identity element of subgroup is same as that of group. That is, identity will remain same because identity is a unique element. So let G be a group which is a multiplicative group and let H be any subgroup of G. If possible, we assume that there exist two identities, E for G and E dash for H separately. So since let A be any arbitrary element of A be any arbitrary element of H, so E dash is the identity of H, so E dash into A is equal to A E dash. Let it be equation number 1. Since H is a subset of G, subgroup of G, so subset of G, so A is in H, so obviously A will be in G. So we have, as E is the identity of A, so EA is equal to AE. This will be equation number 2. Thus, as E is the identity in G, by equation 1 and 2, we see that E dash A is equal to EA. So by applying right cancellation law, we can easily prove that E dash is equal to E. So identity element of a subgroup is same as that of group. The second property is what? The inverse of an element of a subgroup is same as the inverse of the same element in G. since we have already proved in the properties of group that the inverse is also unique, inverse of an element is unique. So if that element comes from group to subgroup, so the inverse will be same in both subgroup and subgroup. So we have to prove this. So for that, let A belongs to H be any arbitrary element of subgroup H. Since H is contained in G, so this implies A belongs to H implies A belongs to G. Suppose we have to show the inverse is same in G and H both. So we assume that let B and C be the inverses of A in G and H respectively. That is, inverse of A is B in G and inverse of A is C in H. So now by definition of inverse in G, BA is equal to E, where E is the identity, is equal to AB. And by the inverse of definition of inverse in H, we have CA is equal to E is equal to AC. But in the previous theorem, we have proved that the identity element of group and subgroup are same. So by these two equations, we can easily see that BA is equal to CA. So by applying right cancellation law, we have B is equal to C. That means what? The inverse element is unique. Now we are going to show some theorems on complex. The complex is what? What is the difference between complex and subgroup? Complex is any subset of a group which can form a group or not, which can be a subgroup or not. But subgroup is what? A complex which itself forms a group with respect to the same operation is called a complex. So multiplication of complex is defined by this: HK is equal to X belongs to G, and this X is equal to H and K type. H belongs to H and K belongs to capital K. Inverses is defined by this. So there's a very first theorem that if H and K are two complexes of a group G, then HK whole inverse is equal to K inverse H inverse. This is Russell law. So to prove this, let X belongs to HK inverse be arbitrary. So this implies Hx will equal to Hk small h, because small h belongs to capital H, small k belongs to capital K. So Hk whole inverse. So this implies by reversal law this is equal to K inverse H inverse. So X is equal to K inverse H inverse. This implies X is equal to K inverse H inverse. X belongs to K inverse H inverse. So HK in, but we have taken X in HK whole inverse and it becomes in K inverse H inverse. So all the elements of HK whole inverse will be in K inverse H inverse. So HK whole inverse is a subset of K inverse H inverse. Now we take Y in K inverse H inverse. So Y will be of the type small k inverse small h inverse, where K inverse belongs to K inverse and H inverse belongs to H inverse. And K belongs to capital K, small h belongs to capital H. So we have this by reversal law, HK inverse. So this Y belongs to HK whole inverse. So every element of K inverse H inverse belongs to HK whole inverse. So by this will be a subset of this. By combining 1 and 2, we have this result that HK whole inverse is equal to K inverse H inverse. Now, if the second theorem, if H is any subgroup of G, then we have to show H inverse is equal to capital H inverse is equal to H, but the converse is not true. So for this, to prove this, we take let small h belonging to capital H be any arbitrary element belongs to capital H inverse, but H is a subgroup. So small h belongs to capital H implies small h inverse belongs to capital H. Since H is a subgroup, so it is group, so inverse by the definition of inverse. But we have taken H inverse in capital H inverse, and now we have shown that small h inverse is in H. So capital H inverse contained in capital H. This is the equation number 1. Now let small h belongs to capital H be arbitrary. So this implies a small h inverse belongs to capital H inverse, capital H as property of inverse. So H inverse whole inverse belongs to capital H inverse. H inverse whole inverse will be, by the property of group is will be equal to H. Small h belongs to H inverse, but we have taken small h from capital H and we have shown that small h belongs to H inverse. So this implies what? This implies capital H is contained in H capital H inverse. So by combining 1 and 2, we have H inverse is equal to capital H inverse is equal to capital H. Now conversely, we have to show the converse is not true, We can show by example. Consider the singleton set capital H is equal to -1, which is a complex of multiplicative group 1 minus 1i. It is not a group, it is a complex of group. Also H inverse, capital H inverse will be -1, as -1 is self inverse. So capital H inverse is equal to capital H, but it is not a subgroup. So that proves that H is not a subgroup. So these are two theorems which I have proved for complexes. Now there are some very important theorems for subgroups, and these theorems are very, very important, and we have to use it and also for examination. And the very first theorem is what? A necessary and sufficient condition for a non-empty subset H of a group G to be a subgroup is A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB inverse belongs to H, where B inverse is the inverse of B in G. So we have to prove this theorem both necessary and sufficient condition. So that is, we have to prove converse also. So first of all, we prove that this condition is necessary. For this, let G be a multiplicative group and H be any subgroup of G. So we assume H is a subgroup, and we have to show the condition that A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB inverse belongs to H. So let A belongs to H and B belongs to H be two arbitrary elements of H. Since H is a subgroup, so H itself is a group. And H itself is a group means what? If B is in H, so there exists B inverse in H, such that B inverse is inverse of B in G, because inverses are same in subgroup and group of an element. We have already proved this previously. So now we have B inverse belongs to H. Already A belongs to H and B inverse belongs to H. This is a multiplicative group. So A, B inverse, this belongs to H. This is by closure law in H. So the condition hold in H. So condition is necessary. Now to prove conversely, condition is sufficient. In this part, we will assume H to be a non-empty subset of G, which is satisfying the given condition, and we have to show it forms a subgroup. So let H be a non-empty subset of G satisfying the given condition. Condition is what? AB belongs to H, implies AB inverse belongs to H. To show H is a subgroup of G. To show subgroup, we have to show H itself forms a group. So by the given condition, AB belongs to H implies AB inverse belongs to H for any two elements. So we are taking a special case where we put B equal to A. So by the given condition, we have A belongs to H implies A inverse belongs to H, where A inverse is inverse of A in G. So into A inverse will be the identity element in G. So E belongs to G. E belongs to G, so E belongs to H. So that means what? Identity element belongs to H. We have to show H is a subgroup, and for this we will show H satisfies all the axioms of group. So first axiom, we have shown that identity element is in H. E belongs to H. Now E belongs to H, A belongs to H, and by the given condition we can say that A inverse belongs to H, and this implies E is identity, so A inverse belongs to H. So A belongs to H implies A inverse belongs to H. This shows that each element of H possesses its inverse in H. Now A belongs to H and B belongs to H implies A belongs to H and B inverse belongs to H. We have already proved that for any element A belongs to H, A inverse also belongs to H. So this implies B inverse belongs to H. So now by the given condition, we have two element A and B inverse. So by the given condition, A into B inverse, the whole inverse will be in H. Inverse of inverse will be the element. So AB belongs to H. So we have proved what? If A belongs to H, B belongs to H implies AB belongs to H. So this implies H is closed. So three conditions are satisfied by H for this multiplication. Now, since we have left to show associativity. Associativity is property of operations over elements, and all the elements of H are taken from G, where this multiplication is associative and in all the elements of H are taken from G, where this multiplication is associative, the same multiplication will also be associative over the elements of H. So H satisfies all the four axioms of group under the multiplication. So it also forms a group, multiplicative group, and since H be a subset of G, so it is a subgroup of G, so condition is sufficient. So we have proved this theorem. If in place of multiplicative group we take additive group, then the above condition becomes, for AB inverse we replace A minus B belongs to H, as I have written there. A belongs to H, B belongs to H implies A minus B belongs to H for additive groups. Now the second theorem, very important theorems are, these are theorems of subgroup. A non-empty subset H of a group G is a subgroup if and only if there are two conditions, A belongs to H, B belongs to H implies AB belongs to H, and the second condition is A belongs to H implies A inverse belongs to H, where A inverse is inverse of A in G. The above theorem is combined these two equations, we get the above theorem. Now we have to prove the condition is necessary. So let us assume that GH is a subgroup of G, multiplicative subgroup of G. So this implies H will be closed. So A belongs to H, B belongs to H implies AB belongs to H. So first condition is satisfied. Also each element of H possesses its inverse. So A belongs to H implies A inverse belongs to H. So second condition is also satisfied by H. So both the conditions are satisfied, so conditions are necessary. Now conversely, we will assume that H be any non-empty subset of G satisfying these two conditions, and we have to show it forms a subgroup. To form H forms a subgroup only when H itself forms a subgroup under the multiplication. So by given condition A B belongs to H implies A B belongs to H, we have H is a subset, H is closed. Now by the condition 2, A belongs to H, A inverse belongs to H implies that each element of H possesses its inverse. So there are two conditions remains to prove. One is the identity element, and second is the associativity. So first we show by condition replacing B in condition 1 by A inverse. So A inverse belongs to H. This implies A inverse is equal to E. So E is identity element in H. Hence, and all the elements of H are taken from G, where this multiplication is associative. So similarly, this multiplication will also be associative over the elements of H. So all the four conditions of group are satisfied by H. So H is a subgroup of G. So theorem is proved. Now very important theorem, the third one, which says that intersection of two subgroup of a group is a subgroup of G. But union need not to be. We will prove it. The intersection of two subgroup of a group is a subgroup of G. So let G be a multiplicative group and H1 and H2 be any two subgroups of G. To show H intersection, H1 intersection H2 is also a subgroup of G. So we will have to show it is a subgroup. So first of all, we assume we know that H1 intersection H2 will not be 5. Since both H1 and H2 will have identity element, and in group identity element is common element, is a unique element. So that identity of G will be in H and will be also in H2, will be in H1 and will be in H2 also. So their intersection cannot be 5 because at least identity element will be common in both H1 and H2. So now suppose A belongs to H1 and intersection H2 and B belongs to H1 intersection H2, be two arbitrary elements. So by the above theorem, we know any non-empty subset will be a subgroup. The necessary and sufficient condition is what? A belongs to H, B belongs to H implies AB inverse belongs to H. So we have taken A belongs to H1 intersection H2 and B belongs to H1 intersection H2. To show, we have to show AB inverse belongs to H1 intersection H2. Then it will be a subgroup by using above theorem. Now A belongs to H1 intersection H2. This implies what? A belongs to H1 and A belongs to H2. B belongs to H1 intersection H2 implies B belongs to H1 and B belongs to H2. So this implies A belongs to H1 and B belongs to H1. So this implies AB inverse belongs to H1 since H1 is a subgroup. And this is a necessary and sufficient condition for a subset to be a subgroup. Similarly, A belongs to H2 and B belongs to H2 implies AB inverse belongs to H2 as H2 is subgroup of G. So we have taken C that AB inverse belongs to H1 and AB inverse belongs to H2 both. So AB inverse belongs to H1 intersection H2. So this implies H1 intersection H2 is a subgroup of G. So intersection of two subgroup is always a subgroup of G. Now we show that union of two subgroup need not to be a subgroup. That is what? Intersection of two subgroup is always a subgroup, but union may or may not be a subgroup. So we can prove it by an example. Consider two subgroups of group of integer, additive group of integers. One is H1 0 plus minus 2 plus minus 4 plus minus 6. This is a set of all even integers. And H2 0 plus minus 3 plus minus 6 plus minus 9 and so on. Easily we can see both are groups, so subgroups of I plus. Now we see the intersection of H1, now the union of H1 union H2 will be what? 0 plus minus 2 plus minus 3 plus minus 4 plus minus 6 and so on. Now 2 belongs to H1 union H2 and 3 belongs to H1 union H2 by this set. And if we add these two, we get 5. And 5 is not in H1 union H2, so it is not closed. So it will not be a group. So it will not be a subgroup. So that means what? Intersection of two subgroup is always a subgroup, but union need not to be. So now we see a theorem by which we can say when a union of subgroup will be a subgroup. For this, we have a theorem which says that the union of two subgroup is a subgroup if and only if one is contained in the other. That means what? If H1 and H2 are two subgroups, then H1 union H2 will be a subgroup if and only if either H1 is a subset of H2 or H2 is a subset of H1. That is, H1 is contained in H2 or H2 is contained in H1. So to prove this theorem, we take let G be a group and H1, H2 is two subgroups of G. So this implies we first assume that either H1 is contained in H2 or H2 is contained in H1. So this implies what? H1 union H2 will be equal to H2 if H1 is contained in H2. Let it be equation number 1. And H1 union H2 will be equal to H1 if H2 is contained in H1. So this is easy. So in both cases, H1 union H2 is a subgroup because H1 union H2 is either H2 or H1, or H2 and H1 are subgroups. So obviously in both the cases H1 union H2 will also be a subgroup. So nothing to prove. Now conversely, what we will do, let the union of two subgroup be a subgroup. We assume it and we will prove that it will happen then either H1 is contained in H2 or H2 is contained in H1. So to prove this theorem, let us suppose we prove this theorem by negation. That is, neither H1 is contained in H2 nor H2 is contained in H1. So this implies H1 is not a subset of H2, H2 is not a subset of H1. So there are some elements in H1 which are not in H2. Similarly, there are some elements in H2 which are not in H1. So let us suppose that A belongs to H1 and A is not in H2. But for union, we must have that element must belongs to either H1 or H2 or both. So this implies A belongs to H1. This implies H1 is not equal to H2. So B belongs to H2, but B is not in H1 since H2 is not contained in H1. But in both the cases, A belongs to H1 union H2 and B belongs to H1 union H2, because for union, the element should be in either of the group, either of the subgroup, H1 or H2. So A belongs to H1 union H2 and B belongs to H1 union H2, but AB belongs to H1 union H2 as H1 union H2 is a subgroup. We have assumed that. So by closure law, AB will be in H1 union H2. So now AB belongs to H1 union H2 implies either AB will be in H1 or AB will be in H2. So first we suppose let AB belongs to H1. Now A belongs to H1 implies A inverse belongs to H1 as H1 is a subgroup. And AB also belongs to H1. So by closure law, A inverse AB belongs to H1. We use the associativity for H1 as it is a subgroup. And we can easily see EB belongs to H1. And this implies B belongs to H1. But we have supposed that B is not in H1 by equation number 2. So equation number 4. It is a contradiction. So B will not be in H1. So now we suppose let AB belongs to H2. Since B belongs to H2, to B inverse belongs to H2. So AB and B inverse belongs to H2 implies AB into B inverse belongs to H2 by closure law. By associativity, we can see this. AB, B inverse belongs to AE belongs to H2. This implies A belongs to H2, which is contradiction to equation number 3. So what we are arrive, in both the cases we get a contradiction. So that means what? Our assumption is wrong. What we assume that? We assume that a H1 union H2 is a subgroup. It is not correct. We assume that neither H1 contained in H2 nor H2 is contained in H1, which is incorrect. So we have either H1 is contained in H2 or H2 is contained in H1. So that's the theorem. So I have discussed about the subgroup of a group and some very important theorem with you. I hope you will understand it. And that's the end for this set, which is subgroup of a group. So thank you.